Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Amy. I've been traveling pretty much full-time for 3 years now, but I'm actually back home in Toronto. So with this extra time, I've been starting a new Instagram account to see how quickly I can grow it. And you should probably also know that I've been getting paid to create travel content for over 4 years now, so there's been a lot of trial and error along the way. Today I'm going to compare the results I've seen with this new Instagram account to my old account with over 22,000 followers, as well as give you tips on how to grow your Instagram account in 2024. And for a little context, let me explain a little bit about me so you can understand my journey in growing on Instagram and how I got here. I started freelancing in 2020, and at the time I was also working on my Instagram, but not really sharing that much and not posting that consistently. And I actually started posting a lot more on TikTok. So over the course of a few months, I got up to maybe 40 or 50,000 followers on TikTok, and my Instagram wasn't really budging. It was probably around 2,000 followers. Things took a huge turn when I took a one-way flight to Cape Town in November 2021, and that's around the time that Instagram started to introduce Reels. So flash forward a few months, I was still in Cape Town. I decided I wanted to post consistently and see how I could grow, and I ended up posting one reel a day and some stories each day for probably a little bit over a month. At that time, I was sharing a lot about Cape Town because I was there for months, and people actually started to recognize me on the street just from my Cape Town content, which was really weird considering I didn't even have a big following on Instagram, but I did start to see it grow as time went on. During that time of posting consistently, I went from probably 2,000 or 3,000 to over 20,000 followers in the span of about 2 months probably. I made my way over to Uganda after when I left Cape Town, and my account was still growing as I was sharing content on my World Packers experience volunteering. And then I went over to Europe, and I kept seeing my numbers go up until they hit around 28,000. So this was because I was being really consistent, and I had a few videos go extremely viral, bringing me in thousands of followers pretty much overnight. And as I mentioned, I had around 27 or 28,000 at the time. I now have 22,000 or a little bit more than that. So I will explain later as to why my numbers have dropped since. The heat of my Instagram fame was definitely in the middle of 2022 in the summer. And ever since I've been traveling the past 2 years, creating content consistently, and I'm gonna explain why I think that my old account is kind of dead now and what I'm doing to revive it, as well as why I started a new account. I started my new Instagram account, Spellbound Trips, to kind of use as an experiment to see how quickly I could grow it, as well as to sell group trips, because I have done one to Iceland already and I wanted to promote some of my group trips, so I thought that could be a good option as well. So within the span of 2 months of posting on this account, I went from 0 followers all the way to nearly 1,500 followers at the time of sharing this video. And yes, don't get me wrong, 1,500 followers is not 15,000 followers, and I obviously want to see better results than that. But one thing I learned is that it's definitely not about your follower count. It's a lot more about the engagement that you have on your account overall than it is about how many followers you have. If you just take a quick look at how my teeny tiny Instagram account is performing compared to my old account with over 22,000 followers, you might be really surprised. So jumping right into the comparison and the analytics, if you look at my new account, you'll see that within the past 30 days, I've generated well over 200,000 impressions. Meanwhile, on the flip side, my old account has only generated around 40,000 impressions. And keep in mind that with both these accounts, I've been posting consistently for the past 2-3 weeks. So that says something about this new account for sure. And if you go over to check the follower analytics, you will see on my new account, I'm gaining a lot more followers than I'm losing. But if you look at my old account on the flip side, you will see that I am losing more than I'm gaining, which is definitely not a good sign. But since I've changed my strategy on my old account the past 1 or 2 weeks, you will see that I haven't lost nearly as many followers as I've gained, so my new strategy is working. Speaking of strategy, this is one thing you need to have figured out before you start a new Instagram account so that you can have videos that perform well and bring in the right audience. With my new account, I knew I wanted to focus on a specific niche because my old account was kind of all over the place for a long time and I didn't really know what my niche was. So for this new account, I am promoting solo travel, authentic travel tips, just the real and raw side of travel, as well as like bucket list destinations. From there, I went on to Notion and I started a content calendar where I would script and plan all my content for the next month. So I knew I wanted to start a signature series to try that out for a whole month, as well as have some other content so I can get in front of the right people. So I decided to post 2 reels every single day for the first 30 days. This signature series was my solo travel sister advice series, where I would share big sister travel advice to anyone who's new to travel, and I made sure to do that every day for the first month. I've also been engaging with other accounts for at least 30 minutes after I post every single day. And by engagement, I don't mean just liking posts. I will comment something very thoughtful, entertaining, interesting on other creators' posts for the first 30 minutes after I post. This helps other accounts find me and interact with my account. I also follow some new accounts too. And that just gets the ball rolling and have more people come over to my page and see what I'm about. I do post the occasional story, but it hasn't been a big part of my strategy. I've been focusing more on reels because I don't really have the extra time right now to focus on adding stories as well. But after 30 days, I noticed a difference. I did see that my account was growing and I wanted to remain consistent, but after my 30-day series was over, I dropped down to posting 1 reel a day. So I've been posting 1 reel every day around the same time and making sure I'm consistent. Now let's talk about posting frequency, because I see a lot of people online saying, you don't need to post every day, you just have to post consistently. Well, I'm gonna be completely honest with you and just let you know that the only time I've seen real growth on Instagram has been when I decided to post every single day. If I'm not posting every single day, I'm not getting that video content out, it's not reaching a group of larger people, and I'm not bringing more followers in. So that is something you need to think about if you are going on a content journey and trying to grow Instagram, because I would personally recommend posting at least 1 reel a day if you can. If you can't, of course you can drop down to posting 4 reels a week. So every few days, or you skip a few days. As long as you're posting that consistently, you will see growth, but you're not going to see it as rapidly, and you probably won't reach as many people overall if you're not posting that consistently. And it kind of goes without saying, but you don't want to be posting every single day if the quality is going to drop, because the quality is also really important. So if you can't keep up with posting 1 quality reel every day, then drop it down a little bit, but remain consistent with that. With that said, I would try to post 1 quality reel every single day for the next 90 days and see what happens. You'll probably be very happy and excited by the results. Plus, you'll also learn from your mistakes and improve your content as time goes on. Now, when it comes to trending audios, we're definitely still in the age of using a trending audio to reach the most amount of people. I try to keep my reels with trending audios that are under 10,000 videos if I can. If it's a little bit over, it's usually fine as well. One thing also to keep in mind is checking to see that the top videos in that sound have at least a few 100,000 views. If they don't, your video probably won't do as well, so I try to find the sounds that have that criteria. Once I find trending sounds that I want to use, I save it to a collection on my phone under like August Reels, for example. That way I can go back when I'm creating reels, choose a sound from there, and it's a lot easier to just make a reel on the fly. You definitely don't need every single reel to be a trending sound, especially if you're making a longer video that's 1.5 minutes or 1 minute long where you're talking to the camera. Don't worry about that too much, but I would say try to make about 90% of your content with trending sounds, and the other 10% can be you talking or explaining something or just providing entertainment. Moving on to video length, I have found that my best performing videos from this new account are definitely the videos that are about 5 seconds long or even less sometimes. There is definitely a trend going on with short videos performing well, as long as you have, which is very important, a lot of information in your caption. Definitely do not hold back on your caption. This is where you should share as much information that's helpful to people as possible so that they can trust you and want to come back to your content to learn more from you. And this doesn't mean that every single video you're putting out there should be a really short 5-second video. Play around with different types of content, include some longer videos, and see what your audience likes most. One major mistake I made with my old account was that I never took a look at the analytics. And I know, I really should have been doing that. Like, I would on occasion, but it wasn't something that was in my regular schedule because I hate looking at numbers and I hate math. So I was like out of sight, out of mind, and I would not recommend doing that whatsoever. Now with my new account, I got into the habit of looking at my analytics every week or two to see how my videos are performing. And then that way, if I see something's performing well, I can replicate it, I can do something similar. If something's not performing very well, I can make changes. That's so important. You have to be willing to make changes to your content, your style of content, if it's not performing well. The numbers aren't gonna lie, so you have to get comfortable with looking at your impressions, your reach, your followers, your external link taps, all of those things, gender, location. It's also really important to know what your audience is like and who's in your audience, because for example, I know my audience is 80% women, 20% men, and that's what I'm going for because I give a lot of tips about solo female travel. So I do want my audience to be built up more of women than men. So that's something to keep in mind when you're going to create a new account and you're looking through your analytics and how you can kind of change your content and skew it towards different types of people if you want those people to be attracted to your videos and be a part of your audience. Now, let's talk about virality for a second, because if you are posting consistently, you will go viral. It's just a matter of time. One of the main reasons I think I lost thousands of people from my audience after I went viral was that people didn't know me. They didn't know who I was. So one thing that you can do when you go viral is make sure you're showing up consistently and also reintroducing yourself, because if you show up on someone's feed after they clicked and followed and they have no idea who you are, they're likely not going to follow you. They're going to unfollow because they're not going to remember why they followed you to begin with. I definitely had this misconception in my head that once I went viral, I wouldn't have to post as much because I would have these extra followers, and that couldn't be further from the truth. When you go viral, you actually have to post more. So you have to give people a reason to keep following you, whether that's entertainment or education. You need to be showing up very consistently for people to stick around, or people are going to drop like flies. You can also be showing up on stories and answering questions, giving a little insight as to who you are and what your interests are, and doing things like that, little polls and quizzes to get people involved and interact with your account once you go viral, so that way they know a bit more about you and they feel a bit attached to you. And I think the most important thing is to be authentic and true to yourself, so that when people follow you, they know what they're getting and they can see that true side of you. So as you can imagine, I've learned a lot from my mistakes, and I am currently trying to revive my old Instagram account while simultaneously growing this new Instagram account. I'm using a new strategy for both accounts, and at this time I'm more confident than ever about my content going out there and my strategy because of the mistakes I've made. I definitely saw this as a learning opportunity to learn from my previous mistakes. So if you're in the same position, if you're not really performing that well on Instagram, take this as an opportunity to learn, see what you can do, what changes you can make to get to where you want to be. With my first account that grew pretty quickly, I didn't really know what to do with the growth. I felt overwhelmed. I was posting so much already that I didn't really want to continue, and I kind of dropped off. I still posted, but not as consistently. And I also didn't engage with other accounts. Social media is meant to be social, and I just wanted to get off my phone. I was a huge post and ghoster. So if that's you, that's something you have to keep in mind as well, because it was completely bringing down my account. You have to make sure you're engaging with other accounts if you want to see the growth, because Instagram's not going to push you up in the algorithm if you're not doing that. If you're just on posting and leaving the platform, they will not like to see that. To make sure you're not on your phone all the time, set aside a specific amount of time to engage. So for me, I want to engage on both accounts for about 30 minutes. So that's an hour of my day doing engagement. Then I need another half an hour roughly to put together some reels or finalize and draft them and then publish them. Another thing I learned is to stop comparing myself to other accounts. And I know this is really hard to do, especially if you're on Instagram all the time. It's part of the reason why I would post and ghost, because I really just didn't want to see what other people were doing and kind of get jealous of them. If I'm being honest, I would get jealous of other people's success, and that's not a good mindset to be in. It's a scarcity mindset, and I've worked a lot on changing that so that I know that I am doing the best I can. I am a different person. I don't need to compare myself to these other accounts. We all have different things to share, and there's room for everyone to be successful. Now I want to lift other creators up and then work on my own original content ideas, and then my own audience will find me. The right people are always going to find you, so make sure you're just being true to yourself, putting out content that you want to, and stop comparing yourself every single second of every day. So this begs the question, should you start a new Instagram account? It's something I dabbled with for a long time. I'm telling you, at least a year, where I went back and forth on whether or not I should do it. And honestly, I do think it's worth it, but you need to make sure you're in a space that you have the time to create consistently and put out good content. You also need to put aside time to create the right strategy and all of that to ensure that you're gonna grow properly. It is really hard to let go of, even if you just have a few thousand followers already, to let go of that audience. But I think it's more important to start fresh because you'll find the right people when you have a strategy in place. I don't really like when you have followers that know you personally, like friends and family, because they're not going to engage in the content the way that you'll want them to. Instead, you should just start a new account, put up the content that you want to, and the right audience will find you. Obviously, it would have been great to hit 10K my first 2 months of posting on Instagram, but I'm still really happy of the growth I've seen so far, and I know it's only going to snowball and get bigger and bigger and bigger as I continue the strategy. One thing to remember is that no one's going to have the same journey as you, so while you might see some people succeed and hit 20,000 followers in a month or two, that doesn't mean it's going to happen for you. You might have a different journey, and that's okay. You just have to be willing to put the time in, be patient, be consistent, and you will see results. I was going to share some more about how my new account is already getting some offers for brand deals, but this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to leave that one for another time if you're interested in seeing that. And also let me know if you want to see how I negotiate with brands and work with brands to get a higher pay when they come to me, or whether I'm pitching to them. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this one and learned a little bit about how to grow your Instagram account in 2024. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you do that now and hit the like button. I put up new videos every single Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how busy I am. Thanks so much again for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.